Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to learn about the Food Waste Reduction and Diversion Reimbursement Program. My name is Ava Labuzetta, and I'm a staff engineer at the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute. I also am managing this reimbursement program at P2I, and I'm going to just be walking through a high-level overview of the program, but I encourage you to reach out to me directly if you have any follow-up questions or just want to learn more. Okay, so the program in a nutshell is a reimbursement program. We reimburse for capital equipment purchases that either increase food waste prevented or divert food waste from landfill or incineration. We reimburse eligible expenses at 44% up to $100,000. And this funding is provided to us through Empire State Development. We've been running this program now for a few years, back since June of 2017. So to be eligible for application, you have to either be a for-profit business registered in New York State or a nonprofit registered in New York State. And this program really is geared towards entities that are handling a large amount of food waste and therefore have potential to divert a large amount of food waste. So there is a size threshold associated with this program. So you must be handling over 1 ton, excuse me, per week of food waste to be eligible to apply. And entities that are generating food waste, recycling food waste, or hauling and transporting food waste are all eligible as long as they are either a for-profit business or a nonprofit in New York. But they must meet that 1 ton per week threshold to apply. So the program is fairly straightforward in how it works. The first step would be to download, complete, and submit the application, which is available on our webpage. That's going to be linked at the end of this presentation. But the application is fairly simple. It's a few pages long. It does ask for a few attachments and supporting documentation. But how the program really works is we want to see that whatever you are applying for reimbursement for is allowing you to increase food waste prevented or diverted. So what we ask for in the application, we want to know how much food waste were you handling prior to this purchase? And the phrasing will be different depending on the type of business you are, if you're generating, recycling, or hauling. But we want to know what your food waste handled amount was before whatever it is that you plan to purchase. That's the first thing. Then we ask for information about what the purchase is. So what equipment do you plan to buy? How much is it going to cost and what is it? The next piece of key information we ask for is how much food waste is going to be prevented or diverted as a result of the purchase. So this becomes we call it your diversion goal, and that you would be signing up for that goal in the application. We also ask for a time frame associated with that goal. So how much food waste are you going to divert after you buy whatever it is you're buying, and how long will it take you to reach that goal? There are other pieces of information we ask for in the application, certainly, but these are the main points. So once the application is completed, you would submit it to us, and then our internal review team reviews the application, scores it, and notifies you of the decision. So this is done on a rolling basis. Applicants are scored against a minimum threshold, not competitively against one another. So if you are approved, then we would draw up a contract that outlines the details of your project, essentially what you're buying, how much you plan to divert, and how long it will take. And then you would sign off on that contract and go ahead and implement your project. once you have successfully implemented the project, then you would provide documentation back to us showing that you now own whatever it is that you bought. So we need proof of purchase, and we also need documentation showing that you have met your diversion goal and are diverting the food waste that you plan to. Once we have that documentation, then we send you the reimbursement check. So some common things that I get asked about, I'll just run through quickly. Our program is running now until May of 2022, or until the funds run out, whichever is sooner. We can retroactively reimburse. So if you have implemented a project sometime after the start of our program, which was June of 2017, you can apply for reimbursement for that project still. The process is exactly the same. Like I said, applications are accepted and evaluated on a rolling basis. So whenever is good for you to submit is fine, as long as it's prior to the May 2022 deadline. The sooner the better, though, I will say. The types of expenses we can reimburse for are pretty flexible. Can be anything as high tech as a large depackaging piece of equipment down to as low tech as food waste collection bins. But the main criteria that you should, that the expenses have to abide by is that they must directly result in food waste being prevented or diverted. And that food waste diversion must be new food waste diverted. So if you're just replacing a piece of equipment, but you're not going to be increasing the food waste that you're diverting today, then that's not eligible. If you're buying a new piece of equipment to allow you to expand or to begin sending food waste to a composter, for example, that type of thing would be eligible. Non-eligible expenses include things like subscription costs, salaries, marketing and educational campaigns. We cannot fund anaerobic digesters, and we cannot fund anything that has a security interest on it. So if you purchased it with a loan and that loan is not paid off yet, we can't reimburse you at that time. Just a few examples quickly of projects that we have approved, just to give you a sense of the various types of equipment we can fund. We have approved a grocery chain that purchased an inventory management software that allowed them to reduce their shrink and associated food waste. We have approved food waste collection and storage equipment at a food manufacturer that allowed them to collect and store food waste to be picked up for recycling. We have funded an in-vessel composter that allowed a new compost site to be established. Their goal was to get up and running and exceed the 1 ton per week threshold. We're funded organics collection trucks that allowed an organics hauler to expand their client base and therefore increase food waste diverted, as well as a depackaging unit at an anaerobic digester site that allowed them to begin taking in packaged food waste and diverting that from the landfill. So that was just a few examples. If you're unsure, I encourage you to just apply or reach out to me and ask for some input on whether or not what you want to buy is eligible. I'm happy to work with you and answer any questions you might have. But here's our website. On the website, you can find both the application, which you can download and review there. And you can also find a program process document that walks through all of the steps from application to reimbursement. And it also has some associated timeframes listed there. Feel free to contact me directly. This is my contact info listed here, and I'd be happy to talk to anyone with questions or just interest in the program. I hope to hear from some of you soon. Thanks so much.